All right, so today we have a customer's Miyata Triple Cross that has come in for service. It's a very nice older bike. It's got a few little nicks and dings here and there. It's well loved, well ridden, but it is a solid older bike that I'd love to get back on the road. We're going to be fitting some wider Panaracer tires for this, which should be pretty easy because this has like the cantilever style brakes on it, which are really nice. I've kind of come to really like those. Before we get started though, let's take a look at it and see what all it really needs. Just kind of looking over it, we're gonna have to cut all of this grip tape off, which is like a grip, I don't know, fiber tape. What's that? Like a cloth. Not really a big fan of the cloth tape. It's really thin in your hand, and it'll usually makes my palms go numb when I ride with this stuff. Probably the same thing with the customer because he's having me put some foam tape on so that he can come back over and put this over top of the foam tape, get a little bit of squish in it. The brake levers themselves look pretty good. They're in pretty good shape. The hoods just need cleaning. Unfortunately, the housings are completely shot on this thing. The customer did say we can just put normal black back on here, so we're just going to put black and get rid of the neon green. But it looks like, if I had to guess, I'd say one of the steel cores in this went south, and that's why it's all curly Q. Just look at the seat. Looks like it's in pretty decent shape yet. This has bar end friction shifters, which I absolutely love. Friction shifters are kind of the shit because they talk to everything. So if anything goes wrong with this, you can replace derailleurs easy enough with pretty much anything that's got enough chain capacity. The derailleur itself and the cassette are completely filthy, which is pretty much normal for a bike that's been loved as much as this. So we're going to get that all tore down, put in the ultrasonic cleaner. Yeah, all in all, I don't see anything here that's really egregious that's going to need to be fixed. It's basically just normal maintenance stuff. Of course, I haven't really messed with the drivetrain much yet, but it does seem to be shifting okay. And it's not throwing its, right there we go, it's going up on the top now. So there's a little bit of stuff in here. Yeah, we'll see how this shifts after it gets a little cleaner. But right now it's riding the top. That might be incorrect chain. Yeah, it's not doing it there. It does have a little bit of gear ride on the tops. See how the front one shifts. Oh, that front derailleur is just hideous. Yeah, it's not going in the top. It's not going into the top chain. Oh, I really do. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's not going to the top chain because of that housing. Because it might get there. Because I think having that one wire blown out in it, I think makes it a little bit effectively shorter. All in all, pretty solid bike. I'm looking forward to getting this one cleaned up and back on the road. Now that we've got it all tore down, you can see a little bit more of the gunk in here. This is why I tear them completely down. Otherwise, there's no way to get all of this gunk out of there. This looks like there was probably a speedometer on here at some point in time, which we'll get that off because it's not there anymore. I'll get this gunk off. But you can just see like down by the bottom bracket, you would never get all of this out unless you take everything apart. That's why to do a proper, like, every once in a while, get it back to new kind of service, you really have to disassemble the whole bike. Bottom bracket is actually in really good shape. That's why I didn't take it out. Usually I'll take these out and mess with them if I need to, if it feels crunchy, but this is really, really smooth. You can see all the dirt and grime back here. We'll polish all that out. And I take the seat out because I like to try and get some of this out. It's difficult to do. Sometimes you're better off to just not disturb it because it will go directly down into the bottom bracket. This, however, is a sealed cartridge, so I don't think that's going to matter quite as much, but I just like to get some of the dirt off the outside so it doesn't fall down that hole. Looking at the The housings, as predicted, this curly Q one blew out a few of the wires at that end and a lot of the wires at that end. So that's what causes this curly Q. It's when they blow wires out. And then they're effectively shorter, and as you saw when I was trying to shift into the big ring, it effectively shortens the housing so it can't shift as far and kind of fucks up everything. Okay, so we're gonna try and fit these tires now. And I did notice a bit of a problem. My tubes are only rated to 35C, but the tires that the customer provided are 38. However, I have noticed in the past that those will usually run okay. So I think we're going to fit them anyway, and I'll just tell him about it when he picks up the bike, because I don't think he's going to want to wait to get this thing on the road. And we will proceed as per normal, and hopefully everything's okay. It should be. I've run 35C tubes on 38C tires before without problem, so I think it'll be okay. The good thing is, though, being as this is a larger tube, they should go on pretty easy, because most of the time when you have the tires that fight you, they're like, oh, like the little 23Cs. Freaking hate those things. But these 38s will have quite a bit of flex. Should be able to get into the center of the channel easy enough. They should not present much of a problem. So we're going to start slightly to the left of the stem. Just work it around. All right. And then we do the roll, and we're on. Not bad. Now let's see if it holds air with my really, really crappy Park tool pump. That's probably good. That's about 45-ish. And we will rinse and repeat for the back wheel. Everything seems to be pretty kosher. Lock down that Presta. All right, rinse and repeat on the back. And this thing will have a decent set of pan erasers. They look like they're in pretty decent shape. He said these have been sitting for a while, but I don't see any cracks on them or anything. We'll clean them a little bit because it looks like they are a bit used. Tread's still really good though. They should run fine. All right, first cleaning we're going to do is going to be this frame, because it's pretty filthy. I like to get all the details, and it really doesn't take that long to do it once you've taken everything off. It really takes like maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get the bulk of the grossness off of these once you've got all of the parts off of it. It's like getting in the bottom bracket and getting back here. It's like just a couple squirts and you can just get all of this off super easily. Especially like this. I'll probably use a brush to get up in there because that's going to be really, really nasty. But I like to just go through and just get all of this detail gunk out. Actually, that came out pretty good. And really all you need is a rag and some simple green, and you can get most of this out. What I typically would like to do afterwards, just to try and bring a little bit more shine out. I know there's a lot of tips and tricks out there floating around on the internet. One of them is furniture polish. I don't really use furniture polish unless somebody has a bike that's got really, really thin paint on it for whatever reason. This, however, made in the 90s, wasn't really made to be super lightweight. This has got really nice thick paint on it. So what I'll probably use for this, my secret weapon for working on paint, is turtle wax rubbing compound, because it's made for paint. So what this will do is it will help just sort of polish out all of the years and years of paint oxidation that's on these. I need to take those out too. You got to get all of that oxidation off. That's what's actually causing the paint to look dull and crappy. And when you do furniture polish or something that's waxed based, that's meant to just kind of get in there and not really buff that problem area out, but to cover it up, you're really just sort of filling in voids And that makes it look shiny, but you've still got all that oxidized paint there. You really haven't fixed the problem, so to speak. You've just kind of covered it up. So, well, it's going to be really easy to line that front derailleur up because that is scored to heck. So that's why I don't really like to use furniture polish unless I have to. And like I said, the only time I really will is usually if a bike has really thin paint, and that's just because if you use a buffing compound on a bike that's got super thin paint, you can go right through the paint and expose the metal, and that's not good either. So it's kind of on a bike by bike basis as to how I select what I'm going to do. And some of them, you know, like I've got some Trek 820s over there. A lot of those, you don't really have to do much crazy with those because usually they're pretty beat up as it is, so you're not going to get a lot of shine out of them. So you just kind of go through them like this and just kind of clean up all of the guck out of there, and then maybe just give them a quick buff. I do all of that stuff by hand. I don't really use a drill if I can get around it, just because I've noticed in the past, if you use a drill, you try and cut corners, try to do it fast, it becomes a case of the faster I go, the behinder I get. So I try to not do that because it's just not a good idea. I've had a couple of bikes I tried to make look better and I ended up making them look worse because that if you buff with a drill, you can get going a little too fast and it can really kind of burn through paint and remove more than you want it to. So I like to just kind of go with hand buffing. There's not a lot of area on a bike that really needs to be cleaned out. And one of the fortunate things about bike frames in general is when you clean them up, even if there's like nicks and dings in the paint, there's so much going on in terms of just the dynamics of a bike frame that your eye is only drawn to like major flaws. So you can have a bike frame that's really, really mangled as far as the paint goes. And if you polish up all of the stuff outside of it, like you polish up your handlebar and you polish up, just like the small chrome pieces, like your headset or like the crankset, stuff like that. If you just get a good shine on that, your eye will be more drawn to those shiny good bits than they will be to the small flaws. And it makes for a much, much better looking bike without really having to get deep into like repainting things and getting into complete disassembly type stuff. Not that we aren't pretty far into complete disassembly. I mean, really all I gotta do is take out the bottom bracket and the handlebars and we're pretty much there, but it's just easier if you don't have to repaint. And sometimes the smallest little bit of touch up, like this little spot for instance, if that doesn't buff out, I can just take a blue marker. It's not buffing out, but like a white spot like that, I can take a blue marker and just make it slightly more blue. It doesn't really even have to match. And your eye won't be as attracted to it because it's not white. So even though it's not like a matching blue, it will make the bike look 1,000 times better because your eye isn't really drawn to it. My red Schwinn that's featured on the website, that's a bike like that. That's an original paint finish, and from 50 yards, probably from most of those pictures, the paint looks like it's in pretty good shape. It isn't. That paint is completely mangled. It's full of touch-up. The gold Schwinn down the down tube, I actually had to sort of like hand draw some of that back in because it was missing. All right, I think we've got this clean enough to move on to wax. Not wax, but I got wax in my brain right now. Yeah, that's where I meant to put that. Let's try and get these hoods a little bit cleaner. These gum sort of hand colored hoods look great, but holy shit are they hard to keep clean because you always have dirt and grime on your hands. In fact, I think I'm gonna need a different towel here. All right, now that I'm done fiddling around with getting those gum colored hoods fixed. We're gonna work on this paint with a little bit of buffing compound. It doesn't take a lot. See, this will shine up really, really nice. This is also why I like to do this when there's nothing else on the bike to get in the way. So otherwise, if you're brushing around, not brushing, but polishing around cables, you miss little detail spots. But I'll just go through, I'll work the whole bike this way. Just a little bit of buffing compound. And just buff it out. We'll get a good shine back on her. Like I said, it doesn't really take a lot. It's just getting it in there, polishing it. This is also my secret for spray paint jobs, is you wet sand, paint and sand and paint and sand and paint and sand. And once you get it about where you want it, you got a couple layers on there, a couple of good layers, like 6. You can buffing compound your way to a really nice shine. There we go. You can really see that start to come out. And I'm just seeing a scratch right there that I didn't realize before. A really deep one. But see how that just brings the shine right back in. Maybe not as good as new, but that is definitely an improvement if you look at that versus like that tube. See how it's all dull? I hope it comes through on the camera, because in real life, it's a huge difference. So we're going to go through, we're going to buff all this out, and then clean the components, and it's time to reassemble. Okay, my ultrasonic cleaner has run its course. Let's just shake this to get all the loose parts down. So I like to take a look at everything before we determine if I need to run this again. I need a really gross rag. So this is one of the chain rings, fancy oval ones like I was saying. You can see how these are still pretty gross. So I'm going to knock a lot of the gross off of this. So yeah, we can get that one done. I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but we can get all the gross out of this one. It's got a lame tooth there. Though this being a fancy ring, I don't know if it's designed that way or not. But if you look, it's got a chipped tooth. There's one on the apex on the other side of the oval, so maybe that's intentional. I don't know, the rest of them look good. I don't know a lot about these oval chain rings. They were like a fad for a little while. But I do know you have to put the apex on the downstroke so that it's correct. Otherwise, supposedly they don't work right. Although I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure there's like some independent testing, and these don't do jack shit. Which is why I think we went back to the round ones. I think these were just a bullshit fad, but that's just me. I don't know if that's true or not. BioPace. All right. So you might notice a giant cut on my hand, and that's totally not because I didn't grip the chain wheels properly when I took them off of the crankset. I was actually bitten by a snake off camera. Very, very small snake. All right. So yeah, look at all that guck. That is just gross. So chain wheels look pretty okay. At least they're coming through okay. Just like to get all this yuckiness off. So I'm going to go through bit by bit, clean all of these up, clean the derailleurs up, get them re-greased, and we'll start reinstalling stuff after I get the wheels checked. Wheel checking, I don't know if I'm going to cover that or if I'm going to film that or not. It's kind of tedious, but maybe I'll film it. That's a good once over. I'm going to go back over these. Right now I'm just kind of looking to see which ones I need to put back in and which ones can, I'm going to take this fucking advertisement sticker off. Which ones need to go back in. This one's really not that dirty. He must spend most of his time in the middle ring because that was the grossest. This one's not too bad. So next we're going to reassemble the derailleur. I'm going to put this cassette over here, so it's out of the way. And I'm going to go here. Turn that upside down. We've got our 2 jockey wheels here. So a little cheater code for this. These will often have a metal ring that the bushing goes in, and then one that's got just plastic in that bushing. This is always the one that goes up towards the top because that one's under the most stress. So that's the easy way to remember that one. I like to grease this stuff up really good before putting it back together. I don't use any sort of special grease. This is just Lucas Red and Tacky. It's a decent all-purpose grease that does the job. I just like to squirt a little here and there. They do sell specialty syringes for greasing. However, I noticed these work just fine, and you get them from like farm shops for like $3. So that's my advice. Go to a farm shop. Get a farm syringe for like $3. Okay, and then I like to put a little bit out here to glue this part in. And usually I will put the bolt through and then put this through. So this is sort of pre-assembled. There we go. There's one. Next one, we do the same thing. Come on. Push that out. All right. This one goes on the end. It's not nearly as stressed as the other one is. Still, like everything else, needs a bit of grease. So we just put a dab in there, a dab out here. I just like to use one of these Q-tips I use for gun cleaning. It makes a good cleaner for this as well. Same thing with this guy. Okay. Put all of that together. And then we will put a dab on the outside. That side's got enough. And we go cap, cap, and put this on. All right. Now, next step is actually get some paper towel and wipe as much grease off the outside as I can, because it will attract grime and dirt and everything else. So we're going to get as much off as we can. Same thing over here. As much off as we can. Okay. Now, since these both go from the same side, you pull that out. Wait, which one was this? Let's make sure we got the right one. Yep, that's the right one. All right, put this guy up and through. All right, we're taking these gloves off. I do not have enough dexterity with these stupid gloves on. All right, we're just gonna have to get dirty hands. All right, so put that up and through. This guy on. And this goes like this. So I'm just going to get it sort of started. There we go. Oh, no. I'm just going to get it like one turn on. There, about like that. And that is so we can put a little dab of Loctite in there. That is too much, of course. So don't want that Loctite getting into contaminate the grease. That's why I do it that way. And then we get to Jimmy jockey this thing back and forth until it gets a little bit tighter. You go. Come on. You can do it. Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's totally not how you do it. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. That's a stupid idea. Put it through here first, then put this on. Then pull this over. There you go. Job done. Same thing. 1 or 2 cranks. Touch of the thread locker. And then we'll just crank these guys up. All right, let's try this the other way. Ah, wrench. I'm glad this is easy. There we go. I've determined that is the proper torque, as is that one. There we go, free spinning, nice and greased. You can see how much cleaner that derailleur is now that we've gone through and polished everything. Remember I said that would clean up really nice in the back. So that's ready to go on. Next step is going to be these chain wheels. Chain ring back together. So there is a bit of a cheat code to these. If you ever have these apart and you're confused by what goes where on a chain ring, and you can see this one's oval shaped, right? It's one of those fancy ones. So it's very important that your orientation is correct. I mean, for instance, I could put this on here so that it's like that, and it would bolt down, but that would be completely wrong because your stroke would be in the wrong place. Now the cheat code for these, if you haven't taken one apart before, is usually this little knob. Where that goes is right here. So if I put this together on the outside, that goes right there. And that's to prevent the chain from going down here. Or, and I'm not sure, I haven't read anything on this, it's so guys like me can figure out where that goes. So now it's put together correctly. That's how they go. So then the second ring is going to have to be orientated so the oval is somewhat close. Now you see that's the back. Front side, the easy way to find the front side if it doesn't have that little knob is it'll always have the number of teeth on one side. That's usually the side facing out. So in this case, I think that's how we go right there. And then our nuts, you've got the female side, which goes on the back. All right. And then you've got the male side, which goes through the front. And we just go around and we get that all put back together quick. I just partially lace them up because I'm going to grease them anyway. So I'm just going to put 2 on here to hold it for right now. Oh, come on. Just because I don't want to lose my spot. That's the only reason I'm putting these in. These aren't going to stay here like this. So, yeah, that's correct. All right, so now we'll put in the ones that are going to stay. I'm just going to brush some of this debris off of here. So for that, we need more of our grease. Where's my, I guess I need one of these. One of the handiest dandiest things ever is these wooden stick Q-tips. They are awesome, and you can get all the crap out of these with them. And then we take the male side. Those are usually pretty good because they go through the ultrasonic. Then I just do a little squirt of grease in here. Just because otherwise, if you ever try to take these off again, Lord help you if these things have fused together, because I have had chain rings that were I just chucked the whole set because I couldn't get it apart. So I always put a little dab of grease in there. Just in case this bike comes back to me and I have to clean it again, I want to be able to get that chain ring off. I believe it's going to go like that. All right, so now we've got all the bolts in there. All we need now is a quick clean. And then we're going to go get my torque wrench and do a little clicky clack here around the rim, and we should be good on that. So we are going to go through now and just kind of double check spoke tension on all of these, just to kind of see where we're at, make sure that none of them are more than 5% or so off of the other ones. Just looking at this thing, I did check the run out on it before, and it's completely concentric. And just eyeballing it, it's not out of round, or it's not wobbly at all. And usually if one of your spokes is broken or out of tension, you'll see it there first. Your wheel will go either egg-shaped or it will start getting a wobble in it. And this thing having cantilever style brakes that break on the rim surface, you'd notice it really, really quick if that was the case. Disc brakes, it's probably got to keep an eye on it a little bit closer by physically looking at the rim, because you won't notice it as much on disc brakes. But anything that's got a brake that breaks the rim surface, you'll notice it pretty quickly in the brake levers if something like that happens, or if you don't hear it. But the customer asked me to just go through this one. This is part of my advanced tier 3 service, so I am going to go through and double check everything just to make sure that they're all within spec. According to my handy dandy little meter here, that means they need to come out, for these are 2mm spokes, these need to come out roughly at around 30 to 32 is where we need to come in. So I'm just going to go through these starting at the pressed valve. See where we're at. That's 32, 32, 32. All look really good. We're all coming in around 32. This is always harder on this side because, oops, not that one, this one. Ooh, that one's low. So this is a non-drive side, so that's probably why. So we're coming in around 26. Let's see what these are. What one's coming in at? Oh, it's about the same. So this side, it looks like they're coming around 26, 27, but they all are. So I think that's, oops. You are going to have different tensions from your drive side to non-drive side because they're different length spokes. That one's a little tighter. That one's off. So what I'd like to do if they're off is I just mark them with a dry erase marker. And then I go all the way back around. Because unfortunately, in order to tighten one, it's not as easy as just tighten this. Because if I just tighten this, it's going to pull the rim that way. So we have to move tension around within the rim. Okay, let's get this wheel back together, shall we? Just I'm going to take this out from when we're straightening everything. All right, so this is still pretty filthy. What we're going to want to do is put a slight layer of grease around this so it don't stick. Should be good. First one, and we put the top one on. Oh. There's the wide one right there. All right, we put a ring. All right, we'll torque that down in a minute. It's not important for right now. Oh, I'll get it in there a little bit better. All right, so next step, where's my squirt? I need my simple green. Where did I put it? Right there. All right, get a good spray. And then what we're gonna do, let's get some of that off the end there. I don't like having it in there. Just take a shoelace. This is like those puffy kind of shoelaces. Just work it back and forth and get all the crap out of here. Takes a little time, but I'm just surprised to see how shiny you can get this. Next one. Back to this one. A little harder with it twisted because it's thicker, but it gets more out. I think that's probably going to do us good. We're going to get this one. But it still looks pretty darn clean compared to what it was. It was a really nice freewheel. What is this hub? This is just a Shimano. All right, so we're going to torque that down, mount our back wheel. All right, now that we've got everything cleaned up and reassembled, we can start putting the whole bike back together. One piece at a time, run our cables, do a little testing. We should be wrapping this thing up shortly here. All right, here we go. So now that I've got the grip tape on, let's get it down and get that front wheel on, and we can pretty much call this one a done deal after we get it all done. We have very good brakes, everything's been torqued. So now I think all we got to do is cut the wires, put on the little ends, and it's pretty much done. This is the stage where normally I'd go take it for a test drive, look for anything that's a little off, try and fix it. On this one though, everything's pretty much on. I don't really have to worry about indexing because these are friction shifters. The brakes are pretty much what they are. These are cantilever style. I like this style of brake. They're very easy to maintain and adjust, and they just work well. They give you good leverage. So yeah, you can fit 38s on this frame. And I think it turned out pretty good, all things considered. Let's get it off of its perch, take a good look. I'll find something to lean it against here so we can take a good look at it. Okay, I've been through my checklist. Everything has been greased, everything has been torqued, chain has been lubed, all of our cables are tensioned. This thing should be ready to ride. Just needs pedals, which owner will have to put those on because he didn't bring them. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty good, considering this was a bike that I think was basically stashed away for a few years, and now it's going to be back on the road. It's a good deal. We'll see what the owner thinks when he gets here. Okay, that's probably going to do it for today's video. It looked like the customer was pretty happy with how the Miyata turned out. Remember all the like and subscribe stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.